All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining today's webinar and for your time. My name is Bashar Fakri, and I am the Student Employment Associate for the Center for Career Services. And I'm here to provide an overview of the Federal Work Study program here at GW. But before we begin today, I would like to go over just a couple of logistic items. Before I go ahead and start, I just want to see if you guys are able to react with a thumbs up, just to make sure that I know that you guys are able to hear me correctly. Um, Perfect, perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much. So, as I said before, we'll make sure to end before 1 p.m. today. So please make sure that you stay muted at all times. We have quite a number of people on the webinar, so it is important to keep the background noise down. I will also be taking questions at the end of the presentation, so please feel free to use the chat box or the Q&A feature in the presentation. I will not be answering questions throughout, but I will make sure to answer any questions towards the end of the presentation. We will be recording the summer webinar, so this is being recorded, and they will be available on our YouTube account shortly after the last webinar in July. So that will be the one tomorrow, which is the keys to getting an on-campus job. And we will also send them out via email for all students that do have a Federal Work Study award or an offer. The team here at GW manages the Federal Work Study program, specifically student employment in the Center for Career Services. So around 4,500 to 4,800 students work at GW in nearly 6,800 positions, and that number tends to only go up, so that's great to see. And in fact, student employees make about 25% of the GW workforce. So this should only emphasize how much of the fantastic support, pillar support student employees are to the university. But specifically, what student employment does is that we manage all the recruiting, hiring, and onboarding functions for student employees. We also run the off-campus federal work study program, which are federal work study positions that are through off-campus partner sites, which I'll go into depth more later on. We develop programs especially for student employees, as well as our most anticipated time of the year, which is where we join multiple colleges and universities from around the country during National Student Employment Week, which is the second week of April, and celebrate all of the amazing contributions that student employees have made to GW and the surrounding community. And I also want to briefly mention before we start the entire presentation that this is specifically for students that have received Federal Work Study as part of their financial aid packages. So if you have any questions about eligibility or obtaining Federal Work Study, please make sure to contact the Office of Student Financial Assistance for more information. They'll be able to assist you further with the process on if you are eligible to obtain Federal Work Study and how to go about securing that. Awesome. So, a common question that we do receive is what is federal work study, right? So, it is a type of financial aid. Eligibility for the program and award amount is determined by the Office of Student Financial Assistance, and then student employment steps in when it is time for students to get a job. Through the program, you are given the opportunity to work in part-time positions to earn extra money during the fall and spring semesters. And you can also work in a federal work study position at any point in the FWS program. So this year, the program runs from August 14th to May 8th. And then you can also only have one federal work study position at a time, but you can change positions throughout the year. So let's say you obtained a federal work study position and you were not necessarily content in it. You can always transfer over to another federal work study position to continue obtaining your funds, but you are not able to hold two federal work study positions at a time. But that's not to say that you're not able to have non-FWS positions as a supplement. So you can have multiple positions. They can't just be multiple federal work study positions, if that makes sense. So also working in the program is completely optional. So if you do not work, you do not earn the offer amount. So you should have of the offer amount remaining at the end of the year, if you do have that, the balance is not paid out to you. So you only earn what you work for. So definitely shift the mentality away from award and focus on it being an offer. So it's a pool of money that you have to work in a federal work study position in order to earn in the format of a regular paycheck. So with that being said, why should you look for a federal work study position? So let's talk about some of the advantages of working as a federal work study student employee. Employers need student employees, and that is a tale as old as time, right? So actually, many of our offices are vitalized by their student staff teams. And also, the federal government pays a large portion of your earnings, roughly around 75%. So, departments will try to fill their positions with federal work study students because they're able to hire more with the same amount of budget that they're allocated. And through your position, you will gain hands-on work experience to enhance your resume, and you will learn transferable skills that you can use in your future internships and career paths. We also know that students are nervous about trying to balance school, extracurricular activities, and moving to a new city altogether, as well as having a part-time job when you put that in the mix. But the benefit of working for GW is that departments know that you're a student first and that you will need time off to study for finals, or if you have a break coming up, or if you are visiting family and so forth. Ultimately, your academics come first. You are a student first. That is why you are here at GW to pursue a degree. And our departments are understanding of that. So we also know that GW student employees have slightly higher GPAs and graduation rates based on the statistics we've gathered in the past couple of academic years. And it's also very helpful to have your new supervisor and department colleagues there to help you in case, you are looking for future career goals or you're looking for different opportunities that your employers might be able to connect you with. One of the most beautiful and fruitful abilities to have while you are a GW student employee is the level of networking accessibility you have here. So every individual you meet most likely knows someone that is going to help you down the line, whether it's through your career goals or your time here at GW when it's pursuing your degree. So our employers truly do care about your success and want to help you in your transition. And so making sure that you're building that network of people that can help you in your future jobs or internships or searches in your future is definitely not only a key fruitful aspect of becoming a GW student employee, but also as an overall resource received while being here at GW. And so a common question we also receive is where can I work in a federal work study position, which is a great question. So let's talk about where you can work. GW has about 200 plus departments that hire students each year, and some of the departments include GW Athletics, University Libraries, the Division of Student Affairs, the Smith Center Events Center, and most of the academic departments, as well as many other locations on campus. So, GW also has a very robust off-campus federal work study program where we partner with around 10 to 15 nonprofit organizations and government agencies. And essentially, an off-campus federal work study partner is, you're still able to be employed in a federal work study position, but it's not through an on-campus position. It could be with an off-campus partner that we have vetted thoroughly and are able to accommodate our student employees. So the updated list of our off-campus organizations, I believe, is currently live on our website for you to view, which is our 2026-2027 academic year partnerships. And these organizations hire GW students and provide amazing opportunities while the student is still officially employed by GW. So once again, we thoroughly vet the employers each summer to ensure they are an easy distance from GW and provide varied opportunities for our students. And so some of the examples that we've had in the past, including now, is Teach for America, the Smithsonian American Art Museum, Kid Power, the National Association for Law Placement, and more. But for a complete list, please make sure to visit our website because you'll be able to have a better understanding of what available opportunities are there in terms of off-campus employment. So let's go ahead and talk about what you will be doing in a federal work study position, right? Probably not sleeping, and I'm hoping there isn't much of that. But ultimately, there will be no time for, slacking at your work site. If you're looking for a position to do your homework in and so forth, maybe look elsewhere. But you can expect great experiences while you're at your federal work study position. So while the work varies in each department or off-campus site, many GW students have had positions that they've successfully landed in administrative tasks, IT support, running social media sites, event planning and support, which an example is our commencement time, where we hire over 150 plus students to work commencement, working in science labs, tutoring, and so many more opportunities, including research with professors or with our off-campus organizations. So there is a plethora of opportunities through the Federal Work Study program for you to land a job that either meets your skill set or aligns with your career path or is a mixture of both if you're lucky. Um, but also, keep in mind that you're still a student above all else. So you definitely want to make sure you're balancing your extracurricular activities, your transition into becoming a college student as well, or if you are, already pursuing your degree and this is your first time trying to land a job through the Federal Work Study program. So keep in mind that the work hours also need to be flexible in that sense. And so a common question we get as well is how many hours will you be able to work? So when determining your work hours, you need to take into consideration, above all else, your class schedule. So the Federal Work Study regulations state that students may never work during class times. So this means that if you have a class that you are already planning on skipping on and there's um, a opportunity that requires you to work during that time, unfortunately, legally, you are not able to do that. So make sure that you're giving yourself plenty of time to get to and from locations, especially if you are working for an off-campus employer. So that is something that you want to keep in mind, that if you are an off-campus employer, if you are trying to pursue an off-campus employer, you are in charge of your to and from destination and how you're getting there, as well as your form of transportation, whether that's the metro, the buses, and so forth. We definitely try to make sure that our off-campus employers are metro accessible, especially in the DC area. So definitely take that into consideration while you're looking at different opportunities that are available to you. But you should also consider your offer amount. So, for example, if you have a combined semester offer of 3,200, which is the standard nowadays, and you make about $18.40 per hour, you can work a total of roughly 173 to 174 hours during the Federal Work Study program. And the program runs during both semesters, so that's why I mentioned it's combined. So it's important to keep track of how you manage your hours between both semesters as you work through earning your offer. So it is not 3,200 per semester, and it does not mean that you only have one semester to exhaust all of that offer. Your 3,200, and once again, this is just an example of a number, your 3,200 is split amongst the two semesters, so it covers the two semesters. So if you start a job in September and you plan on having it until May, make sure that the hours that you work align within that 173 to 174 hour caveat if you are making $18.40. So there's math involved, so just make sure that you're aware of how much you're getting paid and how many hours you're able to work before exhausting those funds. So the program does run once again during both semesters. It's important to keep track of how you manage those hours. But most students find about 5 to 10 hours a week completely manageable. Now, this does not mean that you cannot have the opportunity to work 20, 30, 40 hours a week in a federal work study position if you want to earn those funds very fast and you want to exhaust those funds very quickly. I've seen students do it before. It's maybe not the most advisable thing to do. However, if you plan on only working in the fall semester because you want your spring to be easy, then yes, you can exhaust your entire fund, allocated fund in the fall if you work those amount of hours, as long as you're in agreement with your employer that you're able to work up to those amount of hours. So once federal work study funds are used up, you will no longer be able to stay in a federal work study position. In very few instances, and I do want to emphasize in the very few part, some on-campus departments will be able to hire you as a non-federal work study employee in the equivalent position where the government does not subsidize your wage. But off-campus employers typically cannot hire you onto their payroll fully, so just keep that in mind if you are in an off-campus employer setting. Sometimes, if you are in an on-campus position or sometimes an off-campus as well, the Office of Student Financial Assistance will be able to increase your initial offer. So sometimes it can be bumped up by 1,000 or two. Um, but just pay attention to the offer amount that you receive and how you're exhausting it throughout your time working here at GW, and then contact the Office of Student Financial Assistance if you are requesting an increase, if they have not done so already automatically. And once again, if you are concerned about running out of your funds early, you can also speak to your employer during the interview process. Let's say you have switched federal work study positions mid-year, and you're concerned about the amount of hours you have left. Just make sure you're confirming that with your employer and you're communicating that to your best of your ability. And then once again, if you are concerned about becoming too close to the end of the offer, there is the potential of increasing your overall amount so you're able to be accommodated. So I imagine a lot of students got excited when I mentioned $18.40 is the per hour in the example. And so a question is how much you will make in a student position at GW. And I'm excited to say, as of July 1st of this month, the DC minimum wage has increased to $18.40 per hour. So, as previously discussed, you can only earn up to the amount of your federal work study offer. And so your employer will set your hourly rate, so that can look more than $18.40 per hour, but you will be paid at least DC minimum wage. So, a few important items to keep in mind here are that while the offer appears to be split by semesters, and I just want to reiterate this, you can earn your total offer amount at any time. So you can either earn it the entire amount in the fall semester or have it divided up between the fall and spring. Or if you want to wait until the spring, however, from my experience, it is more difficult to secure a federal work study position come the springtime. It's not impossible, but it's just more difficult. And you can earn it at any time you'd like before the program ends. As long as it's before that May 8th period date, then you can earn it whenever. And then also keep in mind the amount removed from your remaining federal work study offer total each pay period is the pre-tax or the gross earnings. And then occasionally federal work study offer amounts can change during the year if the student's financial needs change. So this happens often when first year students have earned external scholarships that are applied to the student's account later in the semester. So if you do fall in that boat, please be mindful of any emails that you receive from the Office of Student Financial Assistance and make sure to notify your employer immediately if your federal work study offer amount changes, because that will directly affect your employment. Additionally, if you exhaust your funds prior to the end of the federal work study program, of course, we partner with the Office of Student Financial Assistance to assist in increasing your federal work study funds. And then once again, for more information, please contact the offices that I just mentioned as you approach exhausting your funds. But you should not be worried about that at this moment in time. And remember, any unused earnings will not be paid to you at the end of the program. Uh, However, don't worry because we often get this question in terms of if I have not exhausted my funds towards the end of the semester, if I have not, or towards the end of the academic year, or if I had not earned all of the amount that was allocated to me, does that affect my chances or my eligibility in the future to obtain it? And the answer is no. if you do not earn your entire federal work study offer, it does not affect you or your eligibility for getting the offer in future academic years. So it's not a use it or lose it situation where you'll never be able to do it again, but it is a use it or lose it situation in the sense of if you have not exhausted your funds towards that May 8th date, then you will not be able to work for those remaining funds in the federal work study position. And then once again, all student employees are paid on a biweekly basis through a check, as I mentioned earlier, and the earnings come directly to you. So it does not go to your tuition. It does not go into a financial aid package. It does not go into a scholarship. It does not pay for your housing. It is a regular check like every other employment site, most places. So it is not automatically applied to any amount that is due to the university. So once again, that's like tuition and housing and so forth. You ultimately choose how you want to spend it because it is a check or direct deposit. So, as an example, and once again, definitely want to emphasize this point. If your family members are assisting you financially with your studies and they're expecting for this to be some form of financial relief, please be sure to speak to them about these expectations and what this money and how it's going, where it's going to, and how it's being delivered to you. And lastly, you must use GW's phone system, currently called Kronos, to clock your hours. And without this, we cannot pay you. So you will receive more information about this system during the hiring process, but just keep this in mind as you are employed in a position and how you expect to be paid. You have to clock in these hours. Now, a common question we get as well is how do you get a federal work study position? So now that you are excited, hopefully excited to work as a student employee, let's talk about how to find a job and what it takes to get hired. So, unlike some schools, student employment specifically, we do not place students in a job position. That is up to you to apply for these positions and for the departments to get in contact with you regarding the hiring process. We are essentially the middleman, we're the bridge between connecting prospective student employees and employers that are wanting to hire. And we process the offer letters. We help navigate with the background checks with HR. And process the hire in itself, complete your I-9 appointments and so forth. More information on that later. But we do not employ students directly in positions. I just want to emphasize that. So you have to apply to the positions through our employment talent management system. So all jobs are posted online through the Student Employment Talent Management System, and you can go online now to start your application process. So be sure to use your at gwu.edu email address when creating your account. So this will not be your at law.gwu.edu. This will not be your at email.gwu.edu. It will not be your gwid@gwu.edu. It is your actual email address that the university has given you where it ends with at gwu.edu. That is the email address that you are going to use when creating your account. The exciting part is that all federal work study jobs will go live on July 13th. So if you do not see any federal work study jobs in the system currently, don't worry, it makes sense because none of them are supposed to go live yet. They will be going live July 13th, which I believe is next Monday. And so that is why I am encouraging you all at this point to go ahead and log into the talent management system. The link is right there. It's gw-studentemployment.peopleadmin.com. If you aren't able to paste that, you can just go on a Google tab, search GW Student Employment job positions. It will be the first tab that you click. Or the first link that you click, and then all you have to do is click on apply for positions, and it will take you to the page to begin creating your account. So, while we cannot guarantee specific position availability, departments frequently prioritize federal work study hires because of how the government subsidizes your earnings, or how it's paid out. So, they do prioritize federal work study students in order to obtain multiple students, to work for their departments. Occasionally, departments may request to advertise positions through our newsletter. So we highly recommend subscribing to it or following us on social media for updated information related to these opportunities. They're pretty rare nowadays, but if anything, I do recommend following our social media in order to stay updated about any programming that we have. Or if there are like commencement, for example, we do advertise when commencement positions are going to go live for people to apply to. So, with that being said, keep in mind to explore the portal, create an account, familiarize yourself with how things look and how to navigate them prior to July 13th, because that is when the federal work study positions will be going live. So, here's a couple of tips for successfully applying. So, when applying for positions, keep in mind the following. You definitely follow the employer's application instructions carefully. Each employer has it differently. So, providing all the documentation they require, which is different, right? Some departments will ask you for a resume and only a resume. Some departments will ask you for a resume and a cover letter. Some departments will ask you for a resume, a cover letter, a class schedule, a writing sample, and so much more. But the most important piece for when you are applying to federal work study positions, and your application will automatically get voided if you do not submit this, is your federal work study program student statement letter. When you are applying to federal work study positions in the portal, every federal work study position is going to require you, on top of your resume and cover letter and other application material that they ask you to upload, they are going to mandatorily ask you to upload your federal work study program student statement letter. And this is essentially a letter that showcases proof that you were offered federal work study as part of your financial aid package for the 2026-2027 academic year. And that is what's going to allow us to employ you in those positions. So, this very important statement letter is printed from your GWeb account under your financial aid tab and the federal work study menu. So, for more information, you can visit the student employment website, but here is just a quick directional sense of how to do it. So, you would log into GWeb, and then you would click on the financial aid tab. And then once you are on the financial aid tab, you click on My Federal Work Study information. There should be a section for that. And then you'll be able to select the current school year from the drop-down menu. And then you'll go ahead and click Submit. Uh, After you click Submit, you'll click the link, and then it will prompt you to click a link that says View Federal Work Study Program Student Statement. And then it will generate the letter, and then you just have to print it as a PDF to save it. You can save that letter, and then that is what you will use when you are uploading your application material that is needed. And so, having a professional resume ready as well is something that is key and very important. So, this will not be the same as a resume that you submitted with your admissions application, but that's not to say that you can't use or derive information from it. When preparing your resume, definitely think of all the skills you've learned in your leadership and volunteer activities that you've participated in, and that can be used in the work environment that you are going to be in. You do not have to list just past jobs. You can list things that fall under the transferable skills aspect here. And that's what's key. So you can advertise your experience that is relative to the position opening, whether that's through volunteer work that you've done, clubs that you've joined in high school, or different extracurricular activities that you've had throughout your time in education. And so, if you do need a little bit more help in terms of how to navigate rewording your experiences to be more transferable to your job applications, definitely make sure to check out the Center for Career Services website for assisting with creating your resume and your cover letter. Specifically, our career coaches are a fantastic resource to help you, whether that's in person or virtually. And incoming students will receive login instructions to a platform named Handshake if you haven't already. It should be going out already specifically early to mid-July, but if you do not have access, it's not a problem. You will receive access later on. But through Handshake is how you're going to make a career coaching appointment with our center. And that way you'll be able to have your application material reviewed, You'll be able to go over best strategies on how to engage with employers and the interview process, and a lot more of resources that they're able to provide you. Uh, Definitely be prepared for the interview and with the employers by thinking about the skills that you've mentioned in your resume and have that related to the posting. So, if your interview is virtual, definitely make sure to stay professional in that aspect in the environment, but more so with how you present yourself, regardless of if you're virtual or in person. You definitely want to make sure that you are relating whatever is within your resume in terms of transferable skills directly with what the job posting is asking for their potential student employee to do or to possess in terms of certifications or needs. So definitely make sure you are doing that. Uh, I definitely also want to emphasize to apply to multiple jobs. So most students have to apply to between 5 to 10 positions before landing a job. But be mindful of the required and preferred qualifications in the positions you are applying for, and to apply to the positions that match your interests, skills, and qualifications as best as possible. The one of the most important aspects that tends to be oversought as well is the schedule that the department is asking for the student. So if you are looking at positions and you are seeing that there are conflict in terms of times, uh, but you're thinking, oh, the employer might be flexible with me and so forth, you can submit your application, but definitely be as transparent as possible with your class schedule or any notes regarding your availability, because that is going to determine whether they're able to reach out to you or not. And lastly, the longer you wait to find a position, the more difficult it is going to be to find a job. And that is very true to federal work study as well. Most students will find their jobs or their positions in the first couple of months of the fall semester. So waiting until later in the fall or early in the spring will become a more difficult process because naturally there are just fewer positions that are available. So just keep that in mind as you're applying. Your best bet at this point is to make sure your application material is reviewed and set, and that you're able to routinely look at the job postings that go live after July 13th. That's not to say that all the jobs are going to go live on July 18th or July 13th, sorry. Um, I apologize, it's July 13th. It's not to say that all the jobs are going to go live that specific day. So, throughout the academic year, federal work study positions will be going live, whether that's specifically in July or in August or even September. As employers come back to campus to start their academic years, that they'll be sending out more postings to our system. So just keep in mind to routinely check the job portal as you're navigating it, as well as to see the new job postings that we post every single day. Um, Definitely don't try to keep all your eggs in one basket. Try to apply as you see positions that are more fit, that are showcasing in the system. So you've been offered a position, which is fantastic, right? Congratulations. But you're probably wondering now what in terms of the logistical side of being hired. So I'm here to walk you through it. So, to officially be hired by GW, even in an off-campus federal work study program, you will have to complete some paperwork before being cleared to start working. So, first, you will be sent an official offer letter via email from GW Student Employment, instructing you to sign it. And of course, the step needs to be completed in order to move forward in the process. And then most student positions will require a background check. So please watch for an email to initiate the screening. If you work at an off-campus site, the site will perform their own background checks, so you don't need to worry about that. They have a different form of communication for that. Uh, but once you have passed your background check, you will receive a notification requesting you to log into employee records in order to complete your onboarding checklist. And arguably, the most important part of that checklist is going to be completing your I-9 form. So, excuse me. This is a federally mandated form and requires the employee to provide student employment with specific documentation to prove they are legally authorized to work in the United States. So a quick Google search, we also have it linked on our website, but a quick Google search will provide you with the examples of the approved documents. But most students commonly provide us with a passport or a combination of a driver's license and a social security card and or birth certificate. So by law, you must provide us with original documentation. So student employment and HRS do not accept copies, scans, images, pictures, emails, text messages. We do not accept any of that. It has to be the original physical documents, whether that is your passport, whether that's your social security card, whether that is your driver's license. So the reason why we mention this from now is many of you are still at home with access to these documents. If you have a passport that is not going to expire, fantastic. That is probably the only thing you need to bring in terms of completing an I-9. However, if you do not have a passport, start thinking about what types of documents can qualify and what do I need to bring? How do I store them safely? How do I have that conversation with my parents about, storing that safely? Because I know that's a difficult topic for some. But just keep in mind you are going to need your license, for example, and your social or your birth certificate, or for example, your student ID card and your social and your birth certificate. So uh, you are able to go on to the United States Citizenship and Immigration Laws website to see how we can legally complete your I-9, what documents qualify for them. If not, if you have a passport, a domestic passport specifically, that will be all good to go. And then also, students under the age of 18 will be required to obtain a work permit through the DC Board of Education. If you do fall in that line, you don't need to worry about that right now. We'll provide you more information and we'll help you through this process as we provide you the instructions once you're hired into the position. And then a couple of other things. Federal work study earnings are taxable income. So you will need to complete the federal and DC tax forms. But because student employment staff are not certified accountants, we cannot legally advise you on what to put on your tax forms. So we suggest you speak to your family or do a bit of research on your own on what would be the best situation for you in terms of how to fill out your taxes. And then we also strongly advise students to complete a direct deposit form so that your earnings are immediately placed into your bank account on payday. Otherwise, your check will be mailed to your home address that is listed in your federal tax forms. So, if you are filling out your tax forms and your home address is somewhere in Michigan, that is where your check is going to. So, make sure that you are setting up your direct deposit if you are capable of doing so in order to have your pay distributed to you directly and to avoid a check and so forth. The tax forms, the direct deposit forms, the work permit information, and all other instructions will be available in employee records as part of your onboarding tasks. And so once again, just keep an eye out for that if once you are offered a position and that onboarding checklist is assigned to you. The hiring process in itself takes about a week or two, depending on how slammed the office is, to be fully transparent. But you will receive an email when you are officially able to start work and all federal, state, and GW requirements are satisfied. But before then, you are not able to start working. So I definitely understand, especially if you are a first year, this is a lot of overwhelming information, especially on how to get offered an on-campus job and how to navigate it. But student employment and the Center for Career Services specifically is here to help you. So we have several online resources to help you with your resume, your cover letter, and interviewing skills, as well as the opportunity for you to meet with one of our career coaches. So once again, they are available for one-on-one assistance, which you can book through Handshake or reach out to the GW Career Center's website directly in order to book that. And then be sure to check out the webinar on keys to getting an on-campus job that I will be presenting tomorrow. And that goes more in depth into the nitty-gritty of how to access the portal, how to create your account, how to navigate the portal, what do the different acronyms in the job portals mean, like the tier one, tier twos, the differences between the titles and so forth. So I get into a lot more the logistics of how to navigate the job portal and how to apply. So if you're interested in that, definitely sign up for it. I will be presenting it tomorrow. And definitely check out our website for more information on how to register for either the webinar tomorrow or for the remaining programming that we have towards the summer and the fall. And this is how you can contact us. So our email address is gwse@gw.edu. Our phone number is 202-994-8046. We do respond a lot faster via email, so just keep that into consideration, especially if you do have any questions regarding access to your account or anything that can be more personalized. Or information that cannot be shared confidentially over the phone, definitely want to make sure you do that over email. Our website directly is careerservices.gw.edu, student employment. And through that website link, you're going to be able to look at what we offer, how to navigate the portal, access to the student user guide, as well as the remaining webinars that we're presenting for the remainder of the summer, as well as in the fall. And then our specific location is on the fifth floor in the University Student Center. So we do offer virtual appointments. Once again, it's by appointment. So if you have any questions that are more specific towards how to navigate the job portal, you can definitely make an appointment. But once again, I highly recommend signing up for the webinar tomorrow because I go in depth into all of that. So at this point, the presentation is done. I thank you all for your time and your attendance today. It is greatly appreciated. I hope this has served as a great resource into understanding the Federal Work Study program a bit more.